So my story is going to be about my dad, basically. I grew up in Pakistan, and growing up in Pakistan was very interesting because I watched a lot of American TV. So I grew up in Pakistan watching Disney Channel, like all the time, and I was having severe culture shock while growing up in one place. Because what happens is you watch Disney Channel, and then things are just generally different. So for example, dads in America, the way they're portrayed, at least on Disney Channel, is that they actually, they do a lot. They're very active, they go around, they'll spend time with their kids, they'll play catch with them, they'll take them to parks, they'll be like, what do you want to do today? You know? And dads in Pakistan are different. Dads in Pakistan are kind of like credit cards when you first get a credit card, because you're like, this gives me money, but I'm also kind of scared of it. So that was basically, my dad was there, he wasn't like he wasn't there. He was there, he used to sit in the lawn, he would chill, yard, not lawn. Sorry, the Brits took over. But basically, I remember this one day, I had a Derek Jeter baseball glove. What motherfucking Pakistani has a Derek Jeter baseball glove? I honestly don't know what he did. I don't know what Derek Jeter did in his life. I just know that he had a little Derek Jeter on my baseball glove that I got. I think I called him Jeter for the longest time too. But anyway, the whole thing is, I saw my dad in the yard. He's sitting after a long day. He's chilling in the evening, and I'm like, today I'm gonna get my dad to play catch with me. I'm like 7. And this is probably the biggest move that I've pulled. I'm gonna shoot my shot today. I'm gonna do this. So then I wear my glove and I take my baseball, and my dad's sitting in the yard, and I look at him and I walk up slowly to him. I'm like, yeah. Eminem's playing in the background, 8 Mile. I go up to my dad and I'm like, hey dad. And he goes, huh? And I go, you wanna play catch? And he goes, there's a wall right there. And I'm like, yeah, alright. So I went, I threw the ball on the wall, and I caught it. I threw it again, and I had this idea. I was like, if I just throw the ball at him, he's gonna catch it. So I took the ball, and I was like, Dad, look! And I threw it. And then he goes, huh? And he caught it. And I was like, yes! And then I was like, he's gonna throw it back at me. So he threw it back at me. And I was like, yes, I did it. And then I was like, huh? And he goes, no. I was like, poor guy. Honestly, looking back, he was just trying to have a nice evening. I don't know why. But this is the thing. So like I said, severe culture shock. Did not know what dads are supposed to do, what their function in life was exactly. I was confused. This led to a lot of problems. Generally, not really problems. I just expected different things from what he expected to give me. So then when I was older, we weren't the closest. But then I remember when I got into high school, 10th grade, my mom was in America. So this is the first time that me and my dad were alone in the house. And school had just started, and in the morning my dad's like, you want breakfast? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, you like French toast? And I was like, I guess, yeah. And he goes, okay, I'll make you some French toast. And I was like, yeah, alright. So he makes me some French toast, gives me the French toast. I'm like, hey, this isn't that bad. And he was like, oh, thanks. And I eat the French toast, and then the next day I ate some more French toast, and more French toast the next day, and more French toast the next day. I'll be very honest, in my 4 years at Middlebury, you know how they make French toast in Prague or whatever? I've never had it here. I've had so much French toast in those in that time, I can never have French toast again. Because my dad never asked me what else I liked. And he was like, it's for sure he likes French toast. I know how to make French toast. I'm gonna make him French toast for the rest of my life. Honestly, my dad was very consistent in everything he did. So for example, if one of you just came to my house and you were like, oh, jalapeno lays, I love that shit. Every time you would come, he would get you jalapeno lays for no reason. He's just he knew one thing. He's like, I want to do this. So then I had a lot of French toast, basically. My mom had gone, and then I had just gotten my driver's license. We had one car, so I had to drop him off to work and pick him up. And in the car, he would actually talk to me. So then we started talking. He was like, oh yeah, sports, Ronaldo, Messi. He likes soccer. We talked a little about that, and then, political things. I live in Pakistan, there was always something happening. Literally, I wouldn't watch the news, I'd be like, so dad, what happened today? And he's like, oh, there was that protest and that bomb blast, and that got dark, my bad. Anyway, I didn't mean to get that dark. But yeah, basically there's a lot of shit happening. So then, he was my news source, we got to talk, he eventually gave me girlfriend advice, that was really weird. That's another whole moth up. Anyway, but my point is, we got closer a little bit, and then I got to Middlebury, like I got in, and he was super proud of me. Like he was like, oh yes, my son, he did something for his life, maybe. And he was super into it, and then I came to Middlebury, and I left, actually having made a relationship with my dad. And then I was junior year, and then I used to go back every 6 months I would try to go back home. So I saw him in the summer, and then I came back, and then junior year, after my fall semester, I went back, and he picked me up, and this man in 3 months had lost, it seemed like he had aged like 15 years of his life in those 3 months. Like I saw him at the airport, and he was, he had lost so much weight, he had more wrinkles, he lost his skin wasn't glowing at all. I looked at him instantly, I was like, there's something different here. From the voice, like I could tell. Just the things he was saying too, like everything. And then of course there was the indicator that when he drove me back, he drove me it's a 20-minute drive. It took me like an hour. He was driving really slowly. Like really slowly. But anyway, that was happening, and I was like, oh, there's something wrong here. And he clearly didn't know himself, but we just knew there was something wrong, and he had been going to the doctor and everything. And then I saw him over the next month, really deteriorate health-wise. So I saw him, get weaker and weaker. He couldn't go. First, it started not going up the stairs. Then, he stopped driving. Then he had trouble getting out of the bed on his own. Eventually, he needed help to do a lot of things. But the thing is, something I realized and something everybody realized is every time he needed anything, he'd be like, oh, so my dad calls me Abir, not Hamza, so he'd be like, Abir! And I would be like, I'd come down and he'd be like, oh, get me some water. And I'm like, yeah, sure. And I'd come back and then I'd go away and he'd be like, Abir! And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. And then he's like, what do you want? And he goes like, can you turn the light off? And I'm like, the switch is right there. Yeah, he's like, yeah, but I want you to do it. And I was like, oh, okay, sure. And then it got to a point where guests would come over and they would be chilling, and then he would still call me over, and then I remember my uncle was in his room. I come to do something, I think he wanted his slippers or something, and I gave him his slippers, and he goes, my uncle goes like, why do you call him? I was right here, I could have given it to you. And he goes, no, I just wanted to do good things, rack up some good deeds and shit. And I was like, sure, but he was right there. But I guess, whatever. But then it got to a point where, it was interesting. In the middle of the night, sometimes if he would need something, he wanted somebody to be there, and he felt obliged, to not wake my mom up. So I started sleeping in his room. So it was, interesting, to say the least, but I was sleeping in the same room with my dad. That never happened before. But then, sleeping there was fine. It was kind of weird because he would wake me up a lot. That was okay. I didn't really feel too bad. Who am I to be nah, let me sleep, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Anyway, my point is, it was also weird because he would make a lot of noises when he goes to sleep, and I would have to sleep with headphones in, listening to Gordon Ramsay for 3 hours. Gordon Ramsay weirdly gives me peace. I think it's him screaming at other people that makes me feel like everything's fine. The person I'm watching has a way tougher life right now than what I have. And also food is nice to look at. My point is, it got to this point, and then one day my dad actually got a stroke, and then he went to the hospital. So then, he passed away quickly after, and he wasn't responsive. But the first thing that he did to indicate that he was still semi-responsive was that when I walked up to him and stood next to him, he kind of reached out and grabbed my hand. And it was one of those moments, I'm always gonna remember it. My dad was not very affectionate, generally, to me at least. But then, I think in that moment I was like, man, he likes me. Yeah, so, that happened. My dad passed away a day after that, and everything kind of just switched on its head. Everything kind of changed a little bit, and the interesting thing about that was that I feel like I got to know my dad a little bit in the last I guess a lot in the last month, but before that a few years, and before that I didn't really know him. But I got to know him so much better after he passed away. Because I got to hear so many different stories that everybody else told me when they came to visit, or tell me at the funeral or everything. Everybody would get me, and then these people hadn't seen me in 20 years. The last time they saw me I was a baby, and they came and then they were like, holy shit, you look just like him, but fatter. And I was like, hey, thanks. I think. And they're like, yeah, you talk like him, you walk like him, your eyes are the same, your nose is the same. You have bigger thighs, but that's okay. But yeah, a lot of things, I realized that I was a lot like him. And then random stories too. My dad was kind of a sweetheart, I'll be honest. He didn't talk much about it, but my neighbor came up and she was like, yo, I love your dad. And I was like, why? And then she was like, he taught me how to drive. And I was like, he didn't teach me how to drive. But yeah, apparently she was struggling outside and he like put cones down and then got in the car with her. And he was like, yo, let me teach you how to drive. He didn't teach me how to drive, like I literally learned from my mom. But anyway, my point is, I wasn't getting jealous, it was cute, I promise. But yeah, so basically, that happened. There was another guy, the other lady, this widow from where my dad used to work, and apparently he had been paying for her son's education for the past like 8 years. He never told us about this because we probably would have judged him. But like, stuff like this, it was just random things that I guess he was kind of a private guy in that sense, so I learned a lot about him after he passed away. And I learned like subconsciously or consciously that I had turned a lot like him over the past few years. So, oh, by the way, I missed a little point, so I'm just gonna say it anyway, just pretend I said this 5 minutes ago. But my point is, remember when we were like talking a lot in high school and stuff, like he told me, he was like, yo, I'm excited for 2 days in your life. And I was like, okay, which 2 days, Dad? Give it to me. And he goes, the day you're gonna get married, and I was like, okay, sure. And he goes, and the day you graduate. And I was like, oh, cool. But then, now, 5 minutes later, okay, we're back. Alright, cool. So now I'm gonna graduate, guys. Yeah. But yeah, in like, what is it, like 3, 4 days? 5 days, 4 days? 4 days, thank you very much. I should keep track of this. But like, in 4 days. And the thing is, I mean, I know he won't be there, but like, I feel like over the years, I've learned that I've become so much like him in the weirdest ways. The ways that I didn't even realize, and until he like passed away, I didn't realize how much I took from him. For better or for worse, there's some things that he did that I don't like, and I still do them. You know, and there's some things that I love about him, and I realize that I do them too. Like my sister occasionally will call me when she misses my dad, and then she'll be like, oh, I'm calling you because you're the closest thing to him right now. And I'll be like, that's interesting, because I'm really not my dad. But I guess, yeah, DNA, I'm the closest thing to him right now. But my point is, so on February 1st, it's gonna be my graduation. It's also gonna be exactly 2 years from the day he passed away, because he passed away February 1st. So I'm gonna be in my bag that day. That being said, it's a happy story, because I know I'm gonna be there, knowing that he's gonna be there within whatever this is. Anyway, I would drop this mic, but it's on a stand.